All right, so here we are shooting with the Osmo 4K 60 frames. I'm going to hold it up over the bush to try to get a look at what's making noise over here. And sure enough, man, he's peeking out. He's catching a little movement coming up over the palm fronds. He sees my arm and there's something in my hand. He doesn't know what's going on. And I'm going to start showing you what these creatures look like in this lecture series, and we're going to go over it in detail. You can register for the classes in this video's description, but this is pretty much what you're dealing with, except for one thing. That's not his natural color. His color right now is being influenced by the environment through a solar phenomenon. But that's a hominoid, a wild man. He's peeking out and he's watching us. All right, so what are we looking at here? Well, what we've got is this primate face, very similar to this. You're going to see these same angles. You watch even watch my mouse, how my mouse goes around this thing. Watch this. It's the same curves. This is a primate. This is that same thing that's in that drawing right there. You see that? That's what he is, right there. You can see this is where the eyes are. Here's the nose. It's just the ball of the nose, unfortunately. But as you look through here, you can see it moving. See that nose? 1, 2, that upturned, looking up that big nostril. Look familiar? 1, 2. You see that? You see that? Right there. Same thing. There's his eyes. It's leaning out. It's got that big primate mouth. Looking at that huge, it's got the orangutan chimp combo going on with the man's nose a little bit there. Hybrid. That's what that is. You can see it in there. It's peeking out at me. It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts. And no one would notice it. No one. That's why we're in this situation. No one is noticing them. You can see him right there. He's moving. His nose is moving. He's turning. He's doing all kinds of stuff. Right there. Somebody sent me this eyewitness sketch 15 years ago. So you can see he's just leaning out, and that's really the face that you can see leaning out from behind that bush. It's the same species. No doubt.
Crypto reality.
It's fascinating to be out in this environment and, having been there so many times, that the creatures respond to our presence, and they know that there's a positive interaction between us, and so we get shots like this. We're not just filming like arbitrary in some spot or in multiple places. We have researched these places to the point that we understand the relationship that the creatures have with the topography and the ecology, and that's why we're able to enter these environments and capture these creatures on film pretty much wherever we go. Once you understand how the creatures relate to a given environment based on the topographical nature of the area and the different micro ecosystem changes, you can find the creatures at will. If you can find them at will and you understand how they relate to the environment, it's much more simple to capture them on film. So one of the primary things we do when we initially discover an area, that we see the signs, the tracks, the tree breaks, the structures, one of the initial things we do is a comprehensive study of the nature of what's in this area. Topographically, how is the micro ecosystem affecting what they do here? And as soon as we start to understand that, we understand how to catch them on film in that area, and we begin our campaign of shooting. So I was back in there checking out heights, because we've been filming these giant things back there. And it turns out that this guy here that ducks, this super speedy duck this guy does, he's 10 feet tall. The top of that thing is right up around 10 feet. Let me adjust the contrast here, and now, boom, you can see him ducking. There is definitely no precedent for something that is this tall being inside this creek here. This is Martin County, Florida. This is what we've been telling you. This is these creatures. They're enormous and they're lightning quick. I'm actually looking in the exact direction and pointing where that thing actually was and ducking.
Crypto reality.
The light's better right now.
Yeah. Well, we're going to have to take advantage of it, because when it's bright, it really does screw the shot up, and it really is about the clouds right now.
Do you think it's just because of the age of it, which is not like real long? Or...
Yeah, well, we've shot thousands and thousands of clips with our devices, man, since 2015. This Joker's motor, when I turn it on, there's a motor inside. I think it basically operates the mechanical systems. It's starting to go. It's like, making noises,
Yeah.
The work we conduct in the field is comprised of many hours, many hours. I can pretty much guarantee you that in 2015 alone, Melanie and I probably hiked the length of the state of Florida, trying to find habitat that's viable. And it's interesting, because what we found is that human beings have developed the niche habitats. But guess what? Somebody was already there because they were niche habitats. The Sasquatch aren't stupid, man. They were in the right spot all along. Guess what? They're still there. So you're at the car. Did you bring some apples? Let me clear my spot out. Right here. Let me just throw it up in the tree here. Get it out of the way. And I'll sit down and watch Mark and Melanie wait for an apple. So let's take a look at a clip that Melanie shot, and it's got a really good Bigfoot in it. We're going to go through that and break it down now. Melanie's Asky doing what she does best, catching them in the tree line. Primate, or is it a man? It appears to be both. Some type of combination. And if you've been paying attention to what we do here, you know that you've seen many different variations in how these creatures look, both the bone structure and the soft tissue. And they appear to only get larger as they get older, and as they get older, it seems like they get to a certain height and just get wider. We've seen creatures that are enormous, with enormous heads that are incredibly wide. This particular individual has about a 13.5-inch wide head. That tree right there next to him, that's a cypress tree on the right side of his head. This is an extremely large creature. Yes, it's not a full-grown cypress tree, but it's a cypress tree. You can see the pine tree is about 10 feet in front of him. We've been in there and measured all this. This is an enormous creature. But this one doesn't appear to be very human in its physical representation. It looks like it's a hybrid. Like a combination between a primate of some kind and a man. Now, the one that I saw in 2013 did not even closely resemble this thing at all. The one in 2013 that jumped the trail looked like this guy. I mean, that's a great representation of what I saw. So when people said Sasquatch are some type of an ape, meaning like they were like gorillas or something, I took offense to that. because I didn't understand that these creatures have family groups, and within its family group, this exact individual you're looking at could have relatives or family members that look more human, completely different. If you'd like to learn more about it, seek out the Sasquatch Genome Project. The information that is in that study is being confirmed on a weekly basis over the last 10 years by crypto-reality. I had inside information and was involved in trying to help the Ketchum study at one point. And I can tell you that this was really the only way that we could help, by trying to validate it through documenting the reality of what she said in that study and what those criminal labs confirmed. That these creatures are hybrids, and within that genetic code that is the Sasquatch. And they can look incredibly more human than you would expect, like this individual from the 168 shoot. And then this individual looks like a monkey. And then you have the in-between. Over the last 10 years, we've spent thousands of hours observing habitat, having encounters with these creatures, and the same things are going on with support for Bigfoot research that were going on at the time we started. People are still more interested in being entertained by personality than they are in having the truth change their lives.